Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the NA Wildcard Play-ins. This is the final week of this. I am Gandhi, joined by Kret. Kret, we have some pretty awesome matchups here today, but before we get into it, it's important to note that 5 Angry Men have been disqualified, so they will not be in this anymore. They were 3-0, and now they are out of it. So today we are going to be seeing Rambozos take on Fat Chunks, though.
Yeah, and so that's going to be our first game of the day. Currently 1-0 in favor of the Chunks, and we'll see if they can keep that going. Fat Chunks will have first pick in this match, and therefore first ban, so we'll see what they elect to go for. But also important to mention is Rambozos are playing with a different player this week. They will have Meerkat, their solo laner from last week, in the Hunter role, and Mr. Mackey, formerly of a Mighty Storm on cooldown Surreal Gaming, in their solo lane.
And that's an interesting transition, right?
Yeah.
I mean, in a way, it's not because you're kind of both on your own island after a certain point, just kind of farming up, waiting to get to level 20. But, I mean, we saw Meerkat have a lot of success with, like, a Loki, right? So we could see maybe a Hunter Loki if he wanted to kind of go with that approach.
Sure.
But it's going to be interesting to see what his god pull is as a Hunter.
Right. I mean, part of it is when you're looking at a team like the Rambozos, who is more of an amateur team than, say, Dignitas, and they're ranked players, and that's kind of how they formed, you generally have a little bit more flexibility within the roles. Meerkat has played a lot of Hunter in ranked. He's played a lot of solo. He's played a lot of mid. So there's a bit of flexibility there. But, yeah, so going forward, Fat Chunks will be banning out Sirket, and
No shocker.
She's very good right now. So.
Yeah, there's no surprise at all that Sirket's going to be banned out.
Yeah.
I mean, you can kind of just, basically, as soon as you pick a Sirket, it's like, okay, guys, everyone, let's hold on. Let's wait till about level 5, level 9, and then now Sirket's going to be viable. Onto the Rambozos side, we are going to see Gab just go ahead and get out of there. Also, very, very standard pick here.
Yeah, also something that's a very good pick for Chris Pocket, but his Athena is no slouch either.
Very true.
Now,
he actually has a very, very good Athena.
Yeah.
Which Athena, you know, it's funny because Gab's like so much stronger than Athena, but like Athena takes so much more skill in my opinion.
It's like Geb's so much stronger, but Athena is still really good and still has a lot going for her. I mean, a global ultimate on support is enough. That's my argument for why Athena is good. Global ults.
There should be more global ults on supports.
Less global ults.
Oh, it'd be so much better. Nua's going to go ahead and get the ban stick as well as Kali, which is a little bit interesting. And the first pick is actually going to be Freya. So could be Jungle Freya, could be Hunter Freya. Which one are you putting your bet on?
Honestly, I don't want to take that bet yet because I think when teams of this level are picking a Freya, they're saying, okay, do we want her in jungle? Do we want her in Hunter? What do we want to do here?
That's a good point.
Nemesis and Yanis will be hovered on for the Chunks. Nemesis is a character that Unique can play. She is a jungler. We haven't seen as much Nemesis out of Unique as some of the other junglers, but and actually part of the Freya pick is taking away from Unique. He's been very successful with that character.
Yep, and that's going to be Giannis, so they're going to have a lot of mobility around the map. And on the other side, Ra gets through. Ra, who is just about one of the strongest mid laners we have currently in the meta. When you're even with him, he's a little bit ahead of you because he has a heal. He does a lot of damage. His slow is very annoying, and searing pain hurts.
Yeah, I mean, with a Ra, you can just turtle out for a long time.
You really
so much defensive possibility. And, you know, Athena is a good pick here because she is the strongest support, and she's getting picked before the counterban phase. But I don't see any synergy on the board with Athena just yet.
Yeah, well, you know, the big thing about the Rambozos picks so far is if you're Fat Chunks, you have no idea if that's going to be a Freya jungle, Freya Hunter, a Ra mid, or a Ra solo. Now, I mean, going into the second phase, you can start to kind of figure it out. But with Thor banning out, they're assuming that that's going to be the Hunter. So Meerkat might be bringing Freya into the Hunter role.
Right, and now the question is, what are Rambozos going to ban here? They're going to ban Zhang Kuei, which is probably safe. So we've seen Fat Chunks pull out Fenrir Cupid up against Athena lanes, but Apollo has already been picked, so they can't pull that out unless they have done solo Apollo, I think, or solo Hunters, not Apollo. So Fenrir hovered on, no surprise. Yeah, they have done it all.
They've done it all. I mean, Fat Chunks is just about the most unorthodox team we have in the SPL, if not all of Smite.
In North America, for sure.
It's like watching a normal Conquest game.
Yes.
And like watching like everyone call their roles, right?
I
and
was
then it's
confused
just like
for a moment, and then you're like, oh, a casual. Like, yeah, totally.
Just a casual game. It's like, oh.
Yeah, you know, I want to play Fenrir. I guess I have to support. Guess I'm playing support Fenrir. Hoonbots hovered on for Grushenk. He is rather good at this character, and Vamana has been a mainstay of the Rambozos, so I definitely like both of these picks coming out. It will be a Hunter Freya. Vamana in the solo lane could be up against Yanis, but with the Chang'e hover, it's more likely up against Chang'e.
Yeah. And Chang'e, you know, the one big thing here is this lane is there's a lot of sustain in this lane. This matchup, Vamana taking on Chang'e, Vamana just wants to farm, right? He's just going to sit there and kind of clear out, and so does Chang'e. So I would be very, very surprised to see either of them actually get a kill anytime soon.
Now, the other thing to mention is Ra is not the uncontested healer of this game. There is some team sustain on Cyclone Spin.
Okay.
And when you get to the late game past the 25, 30-minute mark, Chang'e's healing can start to really become substantial because she builds a lot of cooldown reduction, has some magic power, etc. Before that point, it's kind of just bad. Okay. And really just, you know, I mean, you're healing for like 50, 100 every 8 seconds.
Yeah, you get the little movement speed with it, though.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good ability. It's just not a great heal. And then once you hit the later game, once you have some magic power and max your CDR, it can be a much better heal, about on par with Guan Yu.
Yeah, and now this is actually one of the first times in a while we've actually seen Samshu bring in a traditional hunter who's in the meta, right? Like normally we're like, we're like okay.
Keeping us guessing.
Cupid, all right, Cupid Fenrir,
yeah,
that's Samshu, right? And then it's like, well, what are you doing with Aphrodite?
The thing is,
who do you think you are using Aphrodite?
How can you go wrong with Apollo? Well, we'll see if Chunks and Samshu can keep it going off of that very strong hunter pick and their Fenrir in the support role. Let's head into the match. On the blue side, out of order, it's going to be the Rambozos.
Yep. And on the Chaos side of things is going to be Fat Chunks Assemble, the SPL team. They finished 5th. They now find themselves here in the wildcard matchups. They currently have the best overall record, so not a whole lot of pressure on them going into this game. They know the stars have to align almost perfectly for Thirst to kind of take their spot.
Right. I mean, if the Chunks don't lose this, or if the Chunks win this game, it's really up to Thirst and Rambozos who's going to be in that second place. If the Chunks lose here, it's likely going to be the Rambozos, so we'll see what ends up happening. And, you know, they're definitely wanting to win this game because they want a 4-0, but there's some interesting dynamics that happen if they lose.
Yeah, well, Vamana's going to go ahead and run straight over that ward here, which is going to be Mr. Makey. He's going to have to be forced to rotate back. Now, the one thing we actually didn't talk about here is the strength of Hunbots. He is a very strong jungler. Fear No Evil is going to make him be able to contest both mid-Harpy camps. Rambozos are looking very, very good here up until 315.
Yeah. Well, and I like that they haven't piled on too much synergy with their Hunbots, right? Like, they've got their Raw Snipe, maybe an Athena ultimate, maybe some Valkyrie's Discretion if they want it, but they're not like, okay, we're going to Hunbots ultimate, and then we're going to dump like a Kukulkan ultimate and a Raw ultimate, and like, they're not putting everything on this ultimate.
And then your mirror comes in.
Exactly. They're just using Hunbots for like some limited combo action, and he's still very good at that.
He's very, very good at that. But, you know, what's funny is the synergy between Hunbots and Vamana actually isn't bad because Fear No Evil kind of distorts them. So Vamana's just like, oh, yeah, Colossal Fury. Let me do a bajillion damage to you with every auto attack.
Right. It's very good for chasing if you can get that Fear No Evil ahead. And, honestly, Hunbots is a great chaser as well with his sort of 2 movement abilities. And I'm talking about the teleport on that Sacred Monkey. Either way, everyone is heading into their lanes. The mid laner is there first. And the duo lane from Rambozos also getting the lane rather quickly. And looks like Fat Chunks going around the backside, just playing it safe for now.
Yep, and as we take a look at the solo lane, both members of each team actually getting to the lane at the exact time, so no one missing out on experience. And that's partly because, you know, on the order side, we're seeing everyone kind of start 3-man on Harpies and then rotate straight to blue. It seems to be the fastest clear possible for order.
Yeah, if you don't do that, you are vulnerable to invade. I don't think they necessarily had to this game. Chang'e and Nemesis not the strongest invaders in the game, but it's just, you know, better safe than sorry. On the left lane, we do have a bit of an engagement. Meerkat getting very low, will be bursted down by the So Beautiful, and now brutalized onto Chris Pocket.
Well, Chris Pocket is going to keep pushing back. Aurora able to force out yet another person here as well. So that's going to be Samshu striking first blood there. 2,200 total gold he's made already. And Chris Pocket's just going to stay in lane. So 130 already of first blood. Is that just the strength of Fenrir?
In part, it's also the fact that Freya lacks mobility. On the left side, you can see Chris Pocket forced out again. Yeah, so Freya not very mobile and has to rely on that banish to really make things happen. Did skill it at level 2, but it wasn't enough to keep her alive.
So I guess she missed that banish, and now this is a big part right here. So we're going to be seeing the speed get split here with Ra and Grishank, which is going to be good for camp splitting. Now they're going to basically just go into mid lane and shove it, and this is going to give them the best experience they can possibly get at this level.
But the Chunks on the other side, they split their red and their back harpies, so they're actually a little bit ahead here. So yeah, even a more efficient split, and that's because they basically had the control of the map, while the Rambozos duo lane was forced under a tower, Freya was running back, etc. So they're able to make a greedy play.
Yeah, and Aduro now actually rotating as well. So very, very good job by both of these teams to actually make sure they're using Rambos to the fullest and just getting all the experience and gold possible. That's really how you make the most out of your time in lane. And really up until 315,
It's
right?
really impactful as well because a jungler takes a camp, let's call that 100%, right? Now, if a jungler and someone else take a camp, you get 147% experience, and because of Bumbas, something like 147% gold as well. So it's really, really nice when you're able to make that split.
Sam Shrew just absolutely trolling. He's just sitting right there at the rock ledge, and he's just like, oh yeah, by the way, I still have Apollo here. I dare you to get close there.
Yeah, and with Fenrir, I mean, the dual lane from the Chunks is just so much better at fighting. But we're about to see some fights rage on at the mid camps. We'll be spawning in about 5 seconds.
Yeah, Chris Pocket's going to be there for the rotation. They might give up completely on it because the ward coverage is going to let them know that Fenrir is going to rotate as well. So Fat Chunks is going to get the left camp. Right camp is going to go, in fact, to the Rambozos.
But look at Aurora here. He's level 5. He's got his Ragnarok. He's going to try and jump in and grab someone. The question is who? No one does not connect with the Unchained.
Yep, and there's actually no beads on the line here for Rambozos. So Fenrir, if he grabs anyone, he's going to be able to really secure that kill, assuming his teams don't miss every single ability. Which is like the only way. That's like the only way he doesn't get the kill.
You know, honestly, it's a little bit harder than you might expect to hit someone in Fenrir's mouth because they kind of like wiggle around a little bit. But at this level, you should be hitting everything on someone in Fenrir's mouth.
Now, Meerkat giving up first blood, do you think that kind of shakes him just a little bit? You know, he's coming out of the solo lane. He now has to fill in for his hunter role. Is that messing with him right now, you think?
Well, you know, it might be, but I would hope not. He needs to stay composed in the middle lane.
Chris Pocket in a lot of trouble. He's just going to get dropped, and Chris knows that it's the end of the road for him, so he's not even going to try to do anything. Just stand still, takes the death. Chunks is going to find themselves up 2-0.
I love this pick and ban strategy coming out from the Chunks. They ban out Geb. They're like, okay, take Athena, and then Aurora will just murder you.
That's a very good point.
That's basically their strategy here.
Yeah, they're basically like, okay, so Athena, you're dirt slow. And this is actually what we saw him do to Brochacho.
Yeah.
And Thirst. It was just a thrashing on that. So Fenrir's the answer, bro.
Honestly, I don't think he's that bad against Geb either if you go after the Geb himself. But Stone Shield will just drop people out of Fenrir's mouth, which is unfortunate.
And it puts him in a great spot for Cataclysm.
Yeah, on the left-hand side, Chunk's getting a little aggressive, not able to contest the blue, and they're just going to be able to go get their own. Currently, it is 2-0 in favor of the Chunks. They've got about a 1,000 gold and experience lead, and they seem to have a lot of map control as well.
Yeah, they're doing an excellent job, and Chang'e, if you notice here, she's going to get Divine Ruin on the line very, very early. And that is solely because she doesn't want that big baby to heal up at all. That's going to kind of negate that a little bit. I really like the play call.
Yeah, if he is able to get in range of Mr. Mackey, he can basically nullify the sustain for almost completely for about 4 seconds, and then halfway for the remaining 4 or 5. So it can be really, really effective. But if Mr. Mackey just like walks away and then uses his ult to heal, he will be able to get that health per second.
And this lane, it's going exactly how you expected, right? Like, Vamana just runs in there, clears out his wave, Umbrella's out. He just dashes out of there and makes sure that he's safe. Now, the next point of interest here is going to be around 6:15. This is where the next Harpies are going to come up. This is really going to start shaping the game because if a big fight does happen here, which it traditionally does happen, it can result in a Gold Fury.
Well, that's a little bit soon, but first on the right-hand side, Aurora is actually going for Mr. Mackey here. They do have that healing reduction, so let's see what happens. There's the Unchained, not able to pick him up.
Good job by Colossal Fury, making him unable to get picked up in Aurora's mouth. He's going to basically sit underneath the tower here, and now Cyclone Spin's going to watch him live. Those Harpies are going to be there. Aurora is going to be behind. Eyes on Aurora. He's actually not able to contest that. There is no ward coverage as well. So they were able to get one, and through space and time is going to do some damage, but not enough to follow up. This is just going to be disengaged.
Rambozos was playing very defensively here. I wanted to just mention what happened to Aurora there, because it's his fault, but it's an understandable mistake. He had to try and pick up the Vamana in an entire creep wave, so he couldn't get his auto attack, quote-unquote, to connect with the right target.
Well, Nemesis is going to start dashing in. Herman barely missing that portal, so Aduro's now going to go underneath the tower. Aurora very, very mobile. He is just everywhere. And his main point is he's like, you know what, I'm just going to keep forcing the mid back.
Right.
He sees I'm rotating over here on the ward. Whatever. Screw it.
Well, and this, I think, goes down to some of the experience of Aurora being an SPL support versus an amateur support. Chris Pocket, despite sort of roaming less than his opposition, is a level behind.
Just
now,
a tick
part of
as
this is
Cyclone Spin's going to be here. Fear no evil. Down goes Cyclone Spin. Rambozos are going to get a kill of their own. But yes, I do agree with the big difference. You know, when you look at it, I mean, Chris Pocket, he hasn't had the time against all the elite supports like Jeff Hinla and everyone else that, you know, Aurora has.
It's very hard to balance roaming and farming, and that's something that Jeff does very well and something that Aurora... Now, in this game, he's able to do it in part because of his... of the advantages that he's been able to accrue so far, but it's about balancing what you're doing with kills and etc. In the middle lane, Chris Pocket's backing off as Yanis is going forward, but left-hand side, here comes Grishank.
Yep, Grishank's going to be in a good spot here. There's going to, oh, God, he's got to get out. Samshu's going to try to aggress on it. Will he be able to find it up? They are going to dash in. Aurora's going to get that one. Jumps out of there. Samshu's going to cover his back. Meerkat now is going to be pushing up here. This could be trouble as Aduro's going to roll in. He needs to hit this. Oh, he missed everything. And now the tides are going to change as Samshu's going to look to go back in as well. Aduro, there's a Mesmerize. Oh, the portal barely missing.
Yeah, I mean, that just seemed a little bit strange from Aduro as the Banish from Freya was coming up rather soon. So if you're going to try that combo, set it up with a Banish and get that double hit.
I think he was almost looking for, like, the slow, right? He was just
maybe.
Like, whatever.
But Meerkat now on the left-hand side in a lot of trouble. Athena will be coming in.
Oh, God, Athena in. Samshu. Yep, that's not looking good. How is he still alive? He's able to get out of there through, oh, my God, across the sky, saving his life. I could not believe they didn't have enough damage to follow up.
Yeah, so Aduro used all his abilities, and then he only had his auto attacks left. Because he fired his Celestial Beam and his Divine Light, his heal was already used, his ult was down, so Samshu was actually just able to get the helicopter and fly away. But on the right-hand side, there is a speed invade coming out, this is just good awareness from Grishank.
Yeah, well, he's going to be a little bit careful here. Mr. Makey's going to force Chang'e back, and now they're going to see, look at that, 3 people rotating over there for the speed, looking for it there. So Chang'e will be able to get her blue, so she's going to be okay to stay in lane and kind of hang out. Aurora's going to be in a good spot here as he's going to try to contest these right Harpies. He's not aware that Aduro is going to be here, though, so they are going to be able to get the right. Are they able to get the left is the question, as Herman's going to be there by himself. So they are. That's a big win there for Fat Chunks.
Yeah, not contested by Chris Pocket, oddly enough, and his Hand of the Gods was up, too, so not really sure what's happening there. While we have a little bit of a lull in the action, I just want to mention Vamana, Heartseeker in the solo lane, has been able to stack it up fairly nicely, up to currently 39 stacks. So we'll see how that works out for him going forward. It's definitely good right now, but if he starts to die in team fights later on, it might become a little bit more of a hindrance.
Well, what's his thought process behind the Heartseeker?
Go fast, do lots of damage. That's a Heartseeker in general, and as long as he can keep those stacks up, it'll do just that. You want about at least 20 to really make it worthwhile, and even when you're down to 0, the movement speed is quite nice. So it's not a bad item, there just might be other things that are better.
Well, I mean, technically, he doesn't really need boots anytime soon, since he does have Clear the Path on his side as well, giving him a lot of movement speed, as well as CC immunity. So he doesn't really, he's not missing out too much on that. But as we can see, there is a little bit of a grouping here. They were thinking about going to invade Rambozos' speed buff, but they were able to clear that out very, very fast.
Left-hand side, though, Meerkat will get stunned out, and Aurora by himself is pressuring the Rambozos duo lane, so he's just doing really well. Now, rotating over is unique, and they're just keeping so much pressure on Meerkat, trying to not let him get online. And
well, can we just talk about the fact that Aurora is top 5 in player damage as well? 2,600 already. His counterpart, which is going to be Chris Pocket, has done 670. But to the same extent, Nemesis only doing 526 damage up to this point. Where is Nemesis?
Just kind of farming, but the Gold Fury will be pulled to see if the Chunks can really get any objectives. And look, Aurora is zoning because he's so powerful right now. Will take some damage, able to jump unchained. Chris Pocket is going to be the target, but Aurora, very low, will fall to Grishank, who dies to Unique.
Yep, and now Aduro still staying in here. Samshu's going to aggress. The Mez not coming out. Meerkat able to jump away. Aduro's going to be here as well. He's going to go ahead and jump in here. There's the ultimate. He's able to get the double. Can he get the triple? And he just needs to hit one more. The taunt. No!
Ah, Samshu so close, but Vamana in the back line looking for Unique. Very low on health. And with the healing reduction from Cyclone Spin, you already know the baby is ineffective.
Did you see that Crescent Moon dance just destroyed?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh, God. That was insane. That was a lot of damage coming out of Chang'e.
Yeah, she's actually at a really good point right now with the Divine Ruin and the Shoes of the Magi done, so having that penetration, some okay magic power, about 110, but I love the decision from Cyclone Spin to keep the pressure up with those penetration boots. He wants to keep control of this game early on.
Yeah.
And will actually probably be going into a shielded teleport soon, so he's able to rotate very quickly to fights by teleporting towards.
God, Sam Shrew. That taunt, that Athena taunt messed him
so
up
close.
so bad. You could see he went back and he was like, all right, I'm spending money on these speeds one. I'm not having this again. As we take a look at the map here, Aurora's going to be in a good spot here to grab these left Harpies, and, you know, that's kind of been like the story. As you take a look at the charts, I mean, the experience difference is 4,500 in favor of Fat Chunks. We haven't really seen much contention at all coming out of Rambozos. They've just been a little bit slow.
Yeah, they're trying to play defensive and farm up their Vamana and their Freya, and then just sort of use the rest of their team to keep the early game a little bit calm. It just hasn't been happening because Aurora has been absolutely insane on Fenrir.
Yep. Giannis actually going with the Chronos Pendant. Now, the Chronos Pendant not into the CDR boots as well. Doesn't give him max CDR, but you're going to see a lot more unstable vortexes coming out of him.
Yeah, I mean, does he really need the extra 15% versus the 15 flat pen, which can be very effective? That's sort of... Herwin's decided to split the difference as opposed to going full CDR or full damage.
No,
I think that's respectable.
Isn't that the better way to go about things, is going, like, pen boots, like, almost always?
Pen boots are very, very good, and they give you a lot of damage. I don't want to make a prescription like always go penetration boots because there are reasons you might want the 15% cooldown reduction, but pen boots are very good. On the right-hand side, Aurora just getting a little bit feisty. Unique lurking in the jungle, but will be spotted out on a ward, so Grishank and Mr. Mackey are going to play careful here.
Yep, now Aduro forced all the way back here. Nemesis, Unique, he's going to go hunting in the jungle. Aduro is going to be able to clear out these back right Harpies if they come up. But Unique's going to go ahead and zone that. In comes Grishank.
That's awkward.
And, yeah, a little bit awkward. Hurrywin does have to be careful. Chris Pocket's going to come in. The taunt's going to miss. Searing Pain's going to go off as well.
So that was the Searing Pain, assuming the taunt hit, but beads came out from Hurrywin. So I actually like seeing that because it's not Aduro's fault he missed. He just set up for the CC didn't hit, and he's like, okay, whatever, my ult will be up soon.
Well, they are in a position if they want to invade Rambozos' speed here. Looks like that's what Unique's getting ready to do. Giannis is going to be here as well. Watch the portal. He could come in and do this. Grishank is going to be in the middle. This is a little bit of a man-witch here as Meerkat's going to come in as well. Unique's going to get taken a lot of damage there by the Fear No Evil. Meerkat's going to go ahead and get out of this one. Athena ult. Chris Pocket's going to be there. Grishank isn't able to get one. Can he find Samshu, though? Aurora comes in as well. Grishank in a lot of trouble. Another taunt comes in. Aurora still alive somehow, and now he's forcing it out. That is a brilliant portal by Hurrywin, but the banish. Oh, God.
Yeah, Hurrywin could be in a lot of trouble trying to get his portal cooldown back up, but not in time. Will Aegis, but it's a Zapman Aegis as he goes down on the backside of that one. Great job thinking with portals coming out from Fat Chunk Assemble, but they just weren't able to make it happen. Also, for note, Samshu did ult to try and clean up a kill on the back. He didn't find it, so he just ended up recalling like by their inner tower.
He was just hanging out.
Yeah, you know, don't get a kill. All right, well, I guess I'll just recall in your jungle.
You know, it was such a weird battle that was, right? Like, they were in the right spot, Fat Chunks. It's like they almost committed too hard on the speed buff, right? But it wasn't even about that. Like, Unique came in, and Grishank was already out. And then, like, the fight was just, it was a great rotation coming out of their duo lane.
Well, middle lane Cyclone Spin taking the double tap from Aduro, who's now getting turned on by Aurora. We'll just use Divine Light and disengage. That's the combo they've been trying to set up for a while with the Searing Pain, and actually left side, Samshu wins a Hunter duel.
That's big. That's really, really big as Mr. Makey is going to kind of watch them cake the mid Harpies in front of him. Aurora's going to try to aggress on this. This might be a mid tower if they want to push it that hard. Aduro is going to be going back on the right lane. It is going to be all about Cyclone Spin just kind of farming up, which is exactly what Chang'e wants to do.
Well, here's the thing. I feel like this game, the Chunks have been playing a little bit more conventional than usual. Would you agree?
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's why they bought a 16-minute Doom Orb on their Chang'e. They were looking normal for a while, but no. So I don't hate
make
this.
The case. Make the
I don't
case
hate
for
this
it.
because it's a massive amount of magic power on an item that's relatively cheap. Now, Book of Thoth, probably about as good. Cyclone Spin just seems to be doing well enough to support this, and it also forces the Rambozos to apply more pressure to Cyclone Spin, which allows the rest of his team to farm up a little bit more. Because if you don't kill the Doom Orb Chunga, she's going to kill you.
Yep. And now that's it. This is going to be most likely a definitely not an E-staff here coming out. It's going to be all about the Warlock Sash coming out of a Duro here as Ra.
Well, it might be a little bit late, but yeah, hopefully.
Yeah, it is a little bit late, right? That's why I was like, well, he may want to go.
We'll see what he likes to do.
Yeah.
And just to explain the difference, Ethereal Staff and Warlock Sash fill a very similar role. One requires 8.5 minutes of perfect stacking to get the full effect. The other one, slightly smaller effect, but it's all instant.
Is that 8 minutes of perfect farm?
8 minutes of perfect farm. That's killing
so
every
realistically,
creep.
it's like 10 minutes.
It could be even longer, honestly.
Really?
I mean, we've seen 15-minute stacks. We've seen.
Sheesh.
There are games where people will end the game with 30 Warlock stacks.
Wow.
It can get really bad. So it's a difficult decision that you have to make,
Yeah,
and
very,
we'll
very.
see what Aduro does do.
Yep. Well, and meanwhile, Meerkat's been holding his own here. As you take a look at the player damage, before it was a completely different story. Now he has 8,200, only behind Samshrew.
Freya.
That Freya, right?
Well, she's
even with the nerf. Even with the nerf.
But that's just on the ultimate, and
Yeah.
with Meerkat kind of trying to and starting to come online here, once he finishes his Demonic Crypt for sure, I think he's starting to do very well. This is what the Rambozos have been waiting for. They're just waiting for their Freya and their Vamana. Speaking of Vamana, 50 stacks of Art Seeker into a Stone of Gaia, now getting boots. The question is, what will he buy after those boots? And I want to see a Rage.
You want to see a Rage?
Because he has the Heartseeker. Usually I'm more of a Chin's Vamana kind of guy, but with the Heartseeker, that's extra damage into the crit, hits super hard.
You know, I've always been such a fan of the Hastened on Vamana. Like, I know Sprint 3 does the exact same thing, right. as Hastened, but I just feel like once a Vamana is on you with Hastened, like, there's no getting
him off.
Yeah.
That said, and I like it against, like, a Ra or someone who can't get away, but I feel like the team composition from Fat Chunks isn't the right composition for that Hastened Vana. They just have too much disengage.
Oh, this is a big rotation here coming out of Mr. Makey. He can go ahead and go all the way over here to these left Harpies as well. Chris Pocket's going to be in the middle. The Banish is going to hit on Herwin. Herwin's going to be forced out, as well as Roar. Vamana's going to be in the back line, which is going to leave Chunga. This is a 5-on-4 if they do want to fight this.
Very nice play came out there from Samshrew. There was a double Banish from Meerkat, which was great. Samshrew just walks up, mezzes the Ra and the Freya, and stops any follow-up. So great heads-up play coming out from the Fat Chunk Ensemble Hunter.
Now, what's going through their head where they were just like, okay, you know what, we had the 5-on-4, let's just go ahead and call it?
I feel like Rambozos are just scared to start a fight right now. They don't feel confident in where they are in terms of items, and they want to let the Chunks really have control of the game and then play reactively on that.
Well, Vamana's doing an excellent job making Cyclone Spin call out to his team every single time that Vamana's rotating over, and that's exactly what's happening. Chonga's basically like, Vamana's out of lane, he's going to be rotating over to the fight. Yeah, it gets really annoying, and it makes you disengage.
And then eventually the Chinga cries wolf, right? You're like, okay, all right, he's not actually rotating, and then
there's no way he's here.
Yeah, exactly.
So right now, as the players are going to go ahead and back, we're going to see Shifter Shield online here for Grishank, who's been playing very, very well. You know, he's got a 9,100 total gold throughout the entire game, and Jotun's into Shifters on a Hunbats. He gets scary.
So, yeah, the other thing to mention is it is going to be a Warlock Sash out from Aduro finished at the 20-minute mark. We'll see how long it takes to stack up.
Well, what's your guess, like 30 minutes-ish?
30, 35. I don't know. I mean, all right. What we need to say is, will he be above 90 stacks by the time the game ends? And if yes, then yeah, it was probably worth it. If no, should have gotten Ethereal Staff. It's so hard to gauge, though.
It really is. Taking a look at Word's place here, Athena with 9. Actually, Aduro as well with 9. So, as you can tell right here, Fat Chunks are going to be able to bring out the Gold Fury here. No real sense of urgency coming out of Rambozos. And come Grishank, Fat Chunks were able to get it. Are they going to turn it? The Searing Pain's going to miss as well. Samshrew's going to get caught. This is not looking good for them.
Yeah, Samchu in a lot of trouble. Divine Judgment will come out onto Grishank, but he's going to be able to... No, he will not find enough space. Meerkat will push out Samchu. Aurora now in a bad spot, and Meerkat, with the help of a portal, will be able to dodge some damage, but here comes Cyclone Spin with the Waxing Moon. Will find the kill. Now Mackie diving in the back line, not quite able to get Samchu just yet.
Yep, Aduro is going to be trailing all the way in the back. Makey all by himself. He's finally able to take out Samchu, clear the pass. Going to give him a little bit of time until he's taken out. Now Aduro and Chris Pocket taking on a Chris Pocket all by himself. Wow, Aurora is a beast.
Actually,
he is just
Heroines
unclassed.
We'll just find some extra damage onto Aduro. So at the end of that fight, you're going to see a 5,000 gold lead and 6,000 experience. Rambozos, I want to say, had a decent engagement there, but they just couldn't keep their fray alive. Grishank got bursted, and they couldn't really turn that gold fury either.
Yeah, Chris Pocket and Aduro did like an excellent job, like bringing out, like trying to zone the best they could. But Aurora, to the same extent, was 2v1ing those guys. He was like, just like, oh yeah, by the way, here I am.
Yeah, Aurora just with the outplay. The other thing to mention is, you know, early on in the game we talked about the raw chemistry with that Hoon bots. Aurora has been, or sorry, Aduro has been relying on that a little bit too much. He tries to set up his snipes, but beads come out, and he just ends up not connecting.
Yeah, the big thing about Raw as well is you don't have to really rely on those setups, right? Your 2 is a slow.
Yeah.
You have your slow, then you're able to hit your Celestial Beam, and then it's like, okay, might as well go ahead and throw down Searing Pain as well. Like, once, that's like fundamental how you play Raw, is you hit your 2 and then you ult.
Sure, and I think part of it is adjusting, right? At first, yeah, try for the hits off the setups, and you'll probably get a kill or two. When your opponents adjust that, you're like, okay, what do I have to wait for this time? Am I going to wait for a mage trying to set up some damage, or a hunter slowing himself with his auto attacks, and maybe wait a little bit longer on the Searing Pain? But we'll see what Aduro ends up doing. On the left side, Meerkat and Samchu alone in the lane. Meerkat does not have a tower, and he is down 2 levels.
And this is exactly how things are going to go, right? Meerkat can chase just a little bit more. He does have hasten, so it's going to take away the auto attack debuff, right? He's just going to be able to chase them down if he does want to 1v1. But he lost his tier 1. He doesn't want to get too crazy here at all. And as you can tell, like, he has no ward coverage at all in his jungle.
And substantially weaker clear than an Apollo, so has to play very carefully around those. Oh no, Unique is here. Will find the slice and dice, and now with the banish being used, Meerkat will need to receive this Defender of Olympus.
Yep, Defender of Olympus is going to come in. Now, sometimes we could see Meerkat actually get a little bit ballsy there and go ahead and aggress if he really wanted to, relying a lot on Chris Pocket to hit that taunt, which they could have been able to turn it, but I like the idea of playing safe. Now, Aurora is just all up in their jungle. We could see them actually dive here on Aduro as he's going to fall through a portal. He's going to be less than half health, but in comes Mr. Makey as well, making his presence known. Portal's going to force out. Here comes the team fight.
Yeah, Fear No Evil out onto Unique and taking a lot of damage again, but the Retribution Shield is good. Nice snipe. Heroine very low and will fall to Valkyrie's Aggression. Now Unique trying to turn around some damage. Meerkat not quite able to get the kill. Samchu in the mix, but Aduro and Chris Pocket are there and will force him out. Here's Cyclone Spin. Big damage. Samchu able to confirm the kill.
Yep, Samchu going to get forced out here as well as Cyclone Spin. Chris Pocket still doing an excellent job. Aurora on Aduro in the heal, doing barely any damage at all. Samchu is gone. Cyclone Spin saying, I'm out of here, and the Wolf is going to come out. Is he able to get in there? No, he's not. He's able to beats out. And look at Aduro. He's still alive.
Oh, he got too close.
Down. He was like, oh, the big bad wolf. Oh, Cyclone Spin coming in from behind. So is Unique. They could be able to get this. Mr. Makey's forced to go up into Colossal Fury.
Oh,
they're going to turn their gaze here to Chris Pocket. Yeah, Colossal Fury's still up.
Probably should have used that to kill Aurora. Maybe we didn't see the cooldown, or maybe it just came back up, but a little bit strange that that wasn't used to kill Aurora. Now Unique in the jungle.
Oh, dude, that's like an 80-second. That wasn't an 80-second team fight, though. Colossal Fury, it takes a long time.
Passive from Romana, I know it used to, there was a change to it.
Okay.
But it used to tick down the cooldown of that Colossal Fury. They might have removed that, though. I know too much about this game.
I could see the smoke coming out of your ears.
Oh man, the hamster is just in overdrive.
Yeah,
he needs a protein
crazy.
bar.
Yeah, he really does.
Yeah.
Those bodybuilding
Shoutouts to
bro.
protein bars, though.
Right?
Yeah, they're great.
They
anyway, back
job.
to the action, though. As you know, right now the Fat Chunks, 14 to 18, they've got 6,000 gold to their names still, but experience has climbed up to 10,000, so really substantial there.
That's the big thing, right?
Yeah.
Anytime before like 35 minutes, you always want to look at experience, and the fact that they're 9,500 ahead of the Rambozos is a real problem for Rambozos.
Oh, it definitely is. And the other thing to mention is just how well Samshu is doing this game. 7, 3, and 4. He'll definitely be able to at least match Freya in terms of his pressure. And he's been playing really well with his dashes and his mesmerizes to just sort of screen for his team. I don't want to say peel, because it's not like that powerful, but it's definitely screening.
Yep, well, Cyclone's been taking a decent amount of damage here from Mr. Makey. He's going to miss that one as well, so he's just going to heal himself up. He does have a breastplate as well, so it kind of gives him a little bit of tankiness. And Aurora's going to throw a Sentry Ward down on the Fire Giant. He's going to clear that up, and that's going to kind of deter them here. But meanwhile, Rambozos, there's not a single ward here down, and now, oh, they're going to just disconnect completely from that Gold Fury. They had it at half health.
So, Mr. Makey right now with his build has gotten to a Witchblade. I feel like he really needs to get a Rage like next item, or he'll start to just not have enough damage to really keep the pressure up. And even right now, it kind of feels that way. Vamana not really being turned on, which is sort of where you want to be. You want to balance needing to be focused and being too hard to focus, right?
Yeah, well, that's the thing that's weird about, like, Vamanas and Guan Yu's is, like, finding that
Warriors
balance,
in
right?
general. Yeah, it's very hard to do. Vamana a little bit easier, but Mr. Makey hasn't quite found it yet this game. He still has plenty of time, still has some opportunity. We're 27 minutes in. The Chunks do have control, but Rambozos are not out of this yet.
The Chunks have a lot of damage as well. I mean, just look at this.
Sure.
You're seeing 2 Obsidian Shards coming out of Chang'e and Giannis. They should be able to blast just about everyone, and Giannis holding out for this Rod of Tahuti, which should be his next item as well. As we take a look at gold in hand. He's got a long way to go, though. He's only got 861 in hand.
Well, the other thing to mention, surprisingly enough, and I can't believe I'm saying this, Chang'e, 9,000 player healing from a soul laner. Ra, 5,000 player healing from a mid laner. So that's an interesting dynamic. Chang'e able to get the out heal there, but Gold Fury has been started again. Aurora very good at tanking it because he is Fenrir and sitting at level 18. Banish will remove the Magi's Blessing, and Aurora will reset the Gold Fury.
Yep, Aurora went for the reset here. Chris Pocket versus Roar. They're going to kind of do this. The taunt's going to come out. Aurora taking a decent amount of damage, and Mr. Makey trying to go in the back. He's zoned out Cyclone Spin, which is going to be big. You never want a Chang'e ultimate in a team fight, especially around the Gold Fury, where you're going to see them line up. And are they going to... They're trying to go for this fight here.
So here's what's happening. Chunks are saying, okay, our engage maybe not as good as some other team compositions because of the Fenrir, so we're going to put ourselves in a situation where the Rambozos have to start a fight with us and then counter-engage, which they're very good at. With the Waxing Moon, with the Ragnarok, they could definitely get that done, and they've got decent ward coverage here too. Look at Aurora on the right-hand side. Chris Pocket will get banished out. Jumping in is Aurora. Fat Chunks able to take the gold.
This is big. Unique taking a lot of damage. He's going to go ahead and get out of this as well. Grishtank's going to be there. Down goes Unique. Meerkat's going to take to the skies with Valkyrie's discretion. They're going to continue to chase here, and Samshu, he's so far away. Thank God for through space and time. He is going to be able to make it out of there, but barely. Is this going to resolve in a Fire Giant, though, for Rambozos? Only Giannis and Chang'e are here to go for this. This is a great call. Herwin's going to be forced out as well. Here comes Apollo, though.
This could get turned. Apollo diving in, able to get the knockback, and now Chang'e still in the mix. The Fire Giant currently not being fought and getting damage out onto Grishtank, who will fall. Meerkat very low in the back, and Cyclone Spin dancing around, now turning his eyes to Aduro. Meerkat falls through a portal and will die to Heroin.
Oh, Cyclone Spin still staying alive. Aurora's going to go ahead and aggress on Ra. Mr. Makey's going to be in the back. Clear the path is going to miss. Look at how much healing Aduro does. He's like, you know what? Okay, screw this. You're out of here, buddy. Down goes Mr. Makey as well. Chris Pocket's going to be the last one up. This is going to be a Fire Giant, though, but for Fat Chunks.
Yeah, so that was a really good fight. Cyclone Spin played the Chang'e late game. DM Brennan had to be giddy after that one. Chris Pocket's going to try and do something, and I respect the attempt, but it's just not going to work out. Fire Giant will not even reset as Samshu is tanking that out, and they're going to be able to jump back in and secure that Fire Giant.
That's big.
Yeah, that's probably enough to really... The coffin has been built. Rambozos are laying in it, and now it's just nailing that in.
This could very well be 2 towers as well, assuming they all want to stay there. I mean, the Fire Giant's going to heal them up a very, very good amount, and only Grishtank's up right now. Meerkat's going to be up next in 5 seconds. You can just see how much pressure. Look at this. They were all of them were basically at a quarter health.
The other thing is Waxing Moon Divide Judgment is back up, so they can definitely get a single pick off of that pretty much for free. Now, that's a bit of a difficult decision because 2 very powerful ultimates. Are you going to just use that for a single kill? But either way, the option is there, and that's very scary. So Rambozos have to play this carefully. They're very much on the back foot, and Chunks are they're looking really close to victory right now.
Yeah, and, looking at the golden hand, Giannis has 3,300. Chang'e has 3,000. Samshrew having 2,400 in hand. These numbers are insane to have. They haven't been back in forever.
Yeah.
And it looked like they were basically contemplating going for this tier 2.
Right, and they're like, wait a second, let's go spend our over 10,000 gold in items. So, I mean,
Giannis is still farming this up.
Right, and so this is important to remember. Like, gold in hand isn't actually there, right? So, while Fat Chunk Assemble had a 12,000 gold lead, if they didn't recall, it would really only be a 2,000 lead, which is really nothing. So this recall is very important, and now they're going to buckle down, push towers, push phoenixes, and right now they're just collecting jungle buffs to allow them to do that, which is very important as well.
This is very, very scary here. That could be a rod coming out of Chang'e as well.
Yeah.
And then looking at Giannis, he's got a rod to Hootie, and now he's going to be going for a Book of Thoth, assuming the game lasts that long. This is a very, very scary situation for Rambozos, who on the other side, they really don't have that power. I mean, look at Ra. He's got 76 stacks on his Warlocks, and he just has a Book of Thoth.
So let's talk about jungle buffs right here. Speed buff makes sense, pretty straightforward. You go faster, you attack faster, put it on your jungler or whatever. Whirlwind, with that red buff, giving him about 20% more, or sorry, not about, actually 20% more magic power, is over 100 right now. And Chang'e, the reason she has pen boots is because she has a blue buff right now. Blue buff will put her at 35%, which is 5% off of the max.
Is she really going to get caught?
Side. Not really, because Cyclone Spin is so good at this character and playing this so well. I mean, that's a 1v2 that he just won.
Yep, and, well, he got the 1v2 as well, so the split push actually working out. They're like, okay, I know now we can push down the Phoenix because two people are over here bothering with Chang'e. Yeah. Banish is going to go up, Samshu's going to go into the sky. You can see Celestial Beam doing what it does best, which is just debilitating you, and now Mr. Makey's forced to zone as Chang'e is going to push us up. They're playing this very, very well.
Yeah, the Fat Chunks are definitely playing a very slow sort of game ending. They're not going for the time. They're not going for the all-out fight. Yeah. They're playing it right, and they're playing conservative, which is really strange because this is the Chunks, and they're the least. Right? They're the furthest from conservative.
I think they're just kind of like, you know what, guys, we just have to win one game. We have to win one game, and we're good.
Yeah.
Right, Phoenix, eyes on the prize. Taunt's going to come out. Samshu's going to get caught. Searing Pain's going to do a lot as well. He's going to be forced out of there. Meerkat, Valkyrie's Discretion, Aurora all by himself. His team is not able to follow up. Unique finally coming in. There's the slice and dice. He's going to be able to force out Grisham completely. Aduro, though, still sitting there. Samshu comes through a portal. At what time, though? And they're going to continue to dive this as Aduro is going to take out Samshu.
Unique will get bursted down by Meerkat, and that's the danger of Athena. But Cyclone Spin will find Aduro, and with the Raw down, I feel like that's going to be enough once the Firemen start pouring in to just take down the Titan. It's going to be 56 seconds on the Raw, 47 seconds on the Hoon bots, and actually there's going to be recall. So I do see a way why this could turn around. But the other thing to mention is Cyclone Spin does have shielded teleport.
Yeah. Wow. Wow. Chin size coming out on Nemesis.
Yeah.
You like it?
In this situation, yes. Because you've got the high crit damage from your Apollo. You've got the high mage damage from your Chang'e and from your Yanis. So Chin size will just help them kill Mr. Mackey, who, going to a Titan's Bane, now finally into crit, he just hasn't really been relevant for the past 10 minutes. Hasn't been able to put enough pressure.
And you know what's interesting is, I've seen Searing Pains hit, and it looks like they're not, like, blowing people up the way they are. And when I look at the player damage, he's up there. Aduro is up there. He's at 19,000. He's just not able to get really these big kills with his Searing Pains, which would completely change the fight completely.
Right, well, he's using the Searing Pains a little bit early on.
Yeah.
So even if they connect really hard, they're sort of setting up the kills, but the kills aren't coming through. We've seen a few on a Meerkat with his Valkyrie's Discretion, or just, Pulse Radiate and how much damage it does, but it just hasn't been cleaned up properly, and do you think that's more like itemization, the way they're playing the team fights, or what do you think's going on here?
I'm not sure. I think the team fights are kind of just like Rambozos are like, all right, guys, let's just go ahead and just push them away. Maybe if we do enough damage, they'll back off.
Yeah.
And there's no follow-up really coming out of Rambozos, but as you can see, the Fat Chunks are going to grab this Fire Giant as well. This very well could be the final push here. They're a little bit split up. They're going to all work together to grab this speed buff. They should recall. Mr. Makey does have to be careful. They are going to walk over wards as well. Fat Chunks is just going to go ahead and storm in here. Eyes on the middle Phoenix. That's what they want. That is what they are looking to take here. as Aduro is going to go ahead and set up, and this is going to be a lot of wave clear here, and I'm assuming as soon as Fat Chunks get a single decent poke, they're going to go all in.
Yeah, I mean, right now they're sort of positioning the jungle, trying to get some extra farm, which, honestly, red buff spawn, if they catch that out, that could be big, but not going to happen. Heroin waiting on the right-hand side, and Chunks are just looking for the opportunity. I'm not really sure what exactly they're looking for.
I don't either.
But it's going to be soon.
Well, creeps are going to be pushing up. They probably don't want to take any extra damage here as Meerkat's going to go ahead and shove this back. Aurora's going to go ahead and jump in. Grishank's going to be there. Brutalize is going to be there as well. Aurora forced out. And now Mr. Makey on the left side, though, he's going to be cleared out. Unique's able to get one. Can we see the second one? Grishank's going to jump over Cyclone Spin, forcing out Chris Pocket as well. And Samshu's going to dive all the way in there, trying to zone him out as best he can as Cyclone's going to look at the Titan. Samshu able to take out Aduro on the Titan. That is a lot of damage coming out of an Impalo. Fear No Evil makes its presence felt, as well as Samshu's going to be forced out. He has very little health.
Yeah, Aurora will jump into the fountain, taking that 1,000 of damage, but they're just going to turn on the Titan now. It's at 50%, and it should die soon enough. Grishank trying to come back in, trying to buy some time, but it will not be sufficient. As Grishank goes down to Cyclone Spin, the Titan goes down to the Chunks, and the Chunks are secured for the North American regional land.
That's huge. Chunks, this is where I feel weird saying this, right?
Sure.
Because it's like we saw the Chunks kind of go with conventional play, minus a roar, right? And in the SPL as well, and they fell a little bit short. Here, this like mildly unconventional play works so well for them.
It really did. And so instead of sort of being unconventional and just forcing their opponents into mistakes because their opponents didn't know what to do, they're playing a little bit unconventional, taking advantage of mistakes that do arise, and it felt a little bit like Rambozos knew in general what to do, but not exactly how to approach the team fight. They didn't really seem to know how to deal with a roar on that Fenrir in those team fights, and when it came to the player damage, I mean, Freya looked good doing that 20,000, that's what you want, but I feel like the Vamana just did not apply enough pressure.
Well, you know, you did say you wanted that rage out, right? And
well,
he
okay,
went into like that weird Titan.
Let me put it this way. He had a full Heartseeker most of the game, fully stacked, and he wasn't killing people. But let's talk about Cyclone Spin, who in the play at the Fire Giant was basically able to secure the game.
Almost 9,000 player healing coming out of him as well. 22,000 damage. How much of that just kind of fell on Vamana? Who knows? But you can just kind of see, you know, the mobility and the little bunny rabbit just kind of hanging out with Chang'e. You can see how good her positioning is as well. So she's going to go in there. Waxing Moon's going to do significant damage, and she's just so mobile.
Yeah, staying really mobile, and now going to aggress up onto Aduro and blocking him out, right? Aduro is stuck behind, will take the damage from the Celestial Beam, so has to disengage, but able to come back in with that healing used on the team. Nice juke onto Mr. Mackey, turning it around.
So good.
There's the healing reduction, and will be able to just sort of force the baby out.
Yep, and you can just see they're just like, oh yeah, by the way, I guess that's a Fire Giant here, and it's all up to Chris Pocket left. And they're just like, huh, well, if anyone comes, we'll be okay.
Yeah.
And she's doing Cyclone Spin on Chang'e just does so well with healing up his entire team, making sure everyone's trying to get as much regen as possible. So Athena's slightly going to die here as well, so Cyclone Spin gets that. The entire time, you know, Cyclone Spin, another big part as well, after that Fire Giant, you know, he basically took a 2-on-1.
Yeah.
And he was like, oh, guys, the left Phoenix is completely open
just
now
take
because two people are here.
Yeah, he got low, but he never seemed to panic. He never seemed like he was in trouble, just healed back up, backed off a little bit into his team, and then came back through. That was really how you played Chang'e, just backing out of fights, coming back in, fighting with the flow of battle, and Cyclone Spin just did it perfectly. Yep. He only died once, 8 kills, 3 assists, and a massive amount of player healing for Chang'e, completely eclipsing Aduro on the Rambozos, so great play from Cyclone Spin and the rest of the Chunks.
And the last big thing I want to just point out, big shout out to Aurora. 3-1-10 coming out on Fenrir, doing an amazing job up until about the 20-minute mark. He was everywhere. Yeah. He was forcing Aduro to go back. He was unable to get the stacks, and, you know, I think that was kind of the big thing, was kind of the Warlock Sash coming out on Aduro that late into the game at 20 minutes. I don't even know if he ever got it fully stacked.
Yeah, I actually didn't check that, but it probably took a while. I mean, just how much pressure was on the Rambozos. The other thing to mention about Aurora, he did a really good job of playing with his runes passive and charging that up in the team fight, so he was able to get stuns and stuns and stuns over and over and recycle that. But Chunks, man, they went to land, or they're going to land. They earned it, and we'll be back in just a few minutes with our next game. So stay tuned.